Do you ever find yourself endlessly scrolling through social media only to realize you feel more drained than fulfilled? It's a familiar feeling. Wasting hours on content that ultimately leaves you exhausted, stressed, or even anxious. This habit, often referred to as doomscrolling, keeps us glued to our screens as we consume one post, one video, one notification after another. Yet, the more we scroll, the less satisfaction we feel, and the harder it becomes to break away from the cycle. What if you could regain control over this compulsion and reclaim your time and focus? A dopamine detox may be the key. This practice aims to reset your brain's reward system by reducing overstimulation and allowing you to refocus on what truly matters. In this video, we'll explain how a dopamine detox can help you stop doomscrolling, sharpen your mental clarity, and reconnect with real-life priorities. Stick around, because by the end of this guide, you'll be ready to start your own dopamine detox and take the first step toward a healthier, more intentional life. But first, let's understand what dopamine is and why it plays such a powerful role in our behaviors. What is dopamine? At its core, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical in the brain that plays a key role in the reward and pleasure systems. When you accomplish something or experience something enjoyable, your brain releases dopamine, reinforcing that behavior and making you want to seek it out again. Whether you've just eaten a piece of chocolate, received a compliment, or gotten likes on a social media post, dopamine is responsible for that rush of pleasure and satisfaction. Why detox? Our digital age has made it easier than ever to access constant sources of dopamine. Social media, streaming services, gaming, and even the simple act of receiving notifications are all designed to stimulate our brains by providing us with small, frequent hits of dopamine. But here's the catch. This constant stimulation leaves the brain overwhelmed. When the brain is bombarded with dopamine over and over, it becomes harder to enjoy more meaningful activities or focus on long-term goals. You may have noticed this in your own life. Have you ever sat down to work on an important project only to feel distracted or disinterested? Or maybe you felt an increasing sense of stress after spending hours on social media. That's because too much dopamine overstimulates your brain, leading to feelings of exhaustion, stress, and reduced productivity. Over time, this overstimulation diminishes your ability to experience real pleasure, focus, and motivation in daily life. Effects of overconsumption. When we're continually consuming digital content, whether that's doom scrolling through Twitter, binge-watching videos on TikTok, or endlessly checking Instagram, we're not just losing time, we're losing focus and well-being. The immediate effects may include irritability, restlessness, and poor concentration. However, the long-term consequences can be even more detrimental: burnout, chronic stress, and diminished cognitive function. For many people, constant access to social media and entertainment creates a paradoxical sense of connection and loneliness. While you might be engaging with people online, you could be missing out on real-world interactions and deep connections. Overconsumption also disrupts your sense of purpose. What is a dopamine detox? This is where the idea of a dopamine detox comes in. A dopamine detox is not about eliminating dopamine entirely. That would be impossible and unhealthy. But it's about temporarily reducing or cutting out the activities that provide instant, shallow dopamine rewards. By taking a break from social media, junk food, video games, and even excessive multitasking, you allow your brain to reset. Think of it as recalibrating your brain's reward system. Instead of seeking out constant stimulation, a dopamine detox helps you rediscover the joy of more meaningful long-term activities. It allows you to break free from the cycle of quick gratification and reestablish control over your attention and habits. Let's check out 6 essential tips to help you start your dopamine detox journey. 1. Make it concrete for yourself. Before diving into a dopamine detox, it's important to first reflect on why you want to do it. Take time to write down your reasons for starting. What are your personal motivations? What do you hope to achieve by reducing your dependence on dopamine-driven activities like doom scrolling? A powerful way to make this process concrete is to visualize what your life will look like if you continue on your current path. Ask yourself, will I be able to accomplish my long-term goals? How is this behavior affecting my relationships, work, and well-being? 2. Delete your social media apps. One of the most effective and immediate steps in your dopamine detox is to delete social media apps from your phone. By removing apps like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, you're creating an intentional barrier between yourself and the platforms designed to keep you hooked. When you access social media via a browser instead of a quick app tap, the extra effort gives you a moment to pause and consider whether you really want to engage. 3. Turn off your notifications. Notifications are one of the most insidious triggers for dopamine cravings. Every time your phone pings or vibrates, it draws you back into a cycle of distraction. Turning off notifications for non-essential apps can dramatically reduce the number of times you're tempted to check your phone. Without constant reminders from social media, news apps, and messaging platforms, you'll begin to notice how much more present and focused you feel throughout the day. You'll also be less likely to get sidetracked when you do need to use your phone for more productive purposes. 4. Be mindful of dopamine-driven decisions. A dopamine detox isn't just about social media. It's about becoming more mindful of all the ways dopamine drives your decisions. For instance, you might find yourself craving a second piece of cake after the first has given you a dopamine rush, or you might feel the urge to continue watching just one more episode of a TV show. During your detox, try to be mindful of these urges. Notice when you're making decisions driven by dopamine and pause for a moment. Reflect on whether the decision aligns with your long-term goals. 5. Create boundaries for screen time. To prevent yourself from falling back into old habits, create specific boundaries around your screen time. Designate certain hours of the day as offline time, during which you step away from your phone, computer, or TV. Use features like screen time tracking or digital well-being tools to monitor your usage and set limits for how much time you spend on social media or entertainment apps. By creating these boundaries, you can reduce the likelihood of mindless scrolling and make space for more meaningful activities. It's important to stick to these limits, even if it feels difficult at first. 6. Incorporate activities that boost dopamine. Naturally, the ultimate goal of a dopamine detox is not to deprive yourself of pleasure, but to reconnect with more meaningful sources of joy. Activities like exercise, meditation, reading, and spending time in nature naturally stimulate dopamine in a healthier, more sustainable way. These activities also help reduce stress, improve focus, and enhance overall well-being. Doomscrolling and constant digital consumption have a way of sapping our energy, focus, and well-being. But by taking the proactive step of starting a dopamine detox, you can reclaim control over your habits, sharpen your mental clarity, and rediscover the joy of meaningful activities. What is your main reason to start a dopamine detox? Leave your answer in the comments below.